Heads up, I'll be getting into spoilers for the base game of Outerwilds as well as the DLC. Alright, so into spoilers. While I was playing the game, the whole time I was hoping that there'd be some way to prevent the supernova and save everyone. But there wasn't. I played through the DLC and knew that there probably wouldn't be a happy ending, but was still kind of hoping for one, and there wasn't. So now I'm asking the question, is it possible to save everyone? Not in a canon intended ending sort of way, but like theoretically. We can't prevent the supernova, at least to my knowledge, so we need to fly everyone outside its radius. Luckily, someone else already built a hospitable megastructure for us, the Stranger. It has oxygen, water, plants, and automatically avoids the supernova. We could try flying every Hearthian there one by one with our ship, but that'd be pretty inefficient. Luckily, 3 other travelers have functional ships to help us out. Gabbro, Ryback, Chert. Feldspar also has a ship, but it's broken and the game won't let us fix it, so I'm not gonna count that one. There's 22 Hearthians spread throughout the solar system, and with ours included, we have access to a fleet of 4 ships, and minus the pilots, are left with 18 Hearthians to rescue. After examining the interior, I think it's safe to say we could fit 4 to 5 passengers in each ship, roughly. It won't exactly be comfortable, but it'll be a short ride. And this is conveniently just enough to get everyone to the Stranger in one trip, so long as they're distributed among the ships evenly. Gabbro will be pretty essential to the plan. Also, being stuck in the time loop, we can talk with them to get the plan sorted well before actually putting it into action. So the loop starts, and we immediately talk to Slate by the campfire. In a second, we'll be heading out to recruit the other travelers, but first we need to prepare our friends here on Timber Hearth. When we get back, we want them to be ready to leave for the Stranger. So while we're gone, Slate will convince the townspeople and have them gather somewhere easy to pick up, like the landing pad. Slate's probably not going to be easy to convince, as well as the other Hearthians. I mean, fuck man, when you talk about deaths from previous loops, they just call you crazy. But the beauty of the time loop is that you have infinite attempts to get it right. There's got to be some way to convince them. You give a monkey a typewriter, infinite time, eventually they write Shakespeare. While Slate organizes the rescue effort on Timber Hearth, we'll fly over to Giant's Deep. Gabbro's already aware of the plan, but with their ship being stranded out in the ocean, we'll help by flying them over to it. It only got picked up by a hurricane and thrown into the water, so I think it's fair to assume it's still functional. It sounds violent, but when the same happens to our own ship, it's completely undamaged, so it's probably fine. Next, we'll fly to Ember Twin to recruit Chert, while Gabbro goes to Dark Bramble to get Feldspar. Both should be easy enough to get on board with the program. After Gabbro gets Feldspar, we'll have the 2 of them grab Ryback from Brutal Hollow. Usually you'd have to land your ship on the surface and travel down to Ryback on foot, but you can actually squeak your ship below the surface by the gravity cannon, or any other open sections of the surface if they've been opened up by the balls of lava falling from Hollow's lantern. Either way, doing that means you can park your ship right above where Ryback's camping, on that like little bridge. It also makes sense saving them for last because, hate to say it, but they aren't the most confident pilot. Given the pressure of the end of the universe, Ryback might fold. Having Gabbro get Feldspar first means we can drop off Feldspar by Ryback's ship on the surface before grabbing the big scaredy cat down below. Ryback might be hard to convince, given how scared they are. They say themselves that they haven't explored anything else on Brutal Hollow out of fear, but again, we have infinite attempts to convince them, and I'm sure getting to explore alien ruins on the Stranger would be pretty good motivation. So Chert, Feldspar, Gabbro, with Ryback on board, and myself all fly back to Timber Hearth. By now, the others should be organized and ready to be picked up. We'll load each ship one by one on the launch pad, grab Esgar from the Adderlock, and then leave for the Stranger. We can find it by marking it on the map and having the other travelers follow us to it into the docking bay. So we did it! We saved all the Hearthians. But we're not just trying to save the Hearthians, we're trying to save everyone, all sentient life in the solar system. So, what about Solemnum? Our Nomai friend's in a bit of a weird spot, being stranded on the Quantum Moon's 6th location. The easiest way to explain this is a quick recap of how quantum states work in Outer Wilds. The Quantum Moon is in all possible locations: Timber Hearth, Giant's Deep, Brutal Hollow, the Hourglass Twins, Dark Bramble, and the Eye of the Universe, all at the same time. It doesn't collapse into a single position until observed, I think. It's a little confusing. Being on the Quantum Moon, she herself is also quantum. There's a version of herself on each Quantum Moon location, and this is where she was when the solar system was flooded with ghost matter. So the 5 versions of herself in the other locations died. You can find her skeleton in each location, while the 6th version, orbiting the Eye of the Universe, was safely out of reach, and she's been there ever since, for hundreds of thousands of years. I think it's actually more complicated than there being only 6 locations, because you can see multiple skeletons on each location that belong to her. So there's more than just 6 variations, but I mean, that's not really important. Now, we won't be able to communicate with her to explain our rescue attempt or what's going on, but we could kind of just grab her and then jump through the vortex above the North Pole. Jumping through always takes you to Timber Hearth's version of the Quantum Moon, but being there in the same spot as a dead variation could mean she collapses into the dead version and ceases to exist. We're not entirely sure. This is kind of breaking new territory, but it's fairly likely. To get around this, we can use quantum imaging. By taking a picture of the alive version of Solemnum and keeping it displayed in our helmet, we can make sure she doesn't revert to the dead version of herself. Then we take her through the vortex and jump off Timberhearth's quantum moon into space, and we can have one of the other travelers nearby in orbit ready to pick us up. The Lore Explorer actually made a video on this topic using the same method, and if you want something more in depth, I'd go watch that. These are just the basic ideas. And when he made that video, the method worked. But since then, it's actually been patched. You used to be able to jump through the vortex with the image of Solemnum, but now you can't. You sort of just get pushed back down until you have it not displayed in your helmet. So you can't save Solemnum. The patch seems to have been the dev team's response to the Lore Explorer's video, but even if you could save her, should you? Taking her back with us means she learns of her entire species' extinction, as well as the end of the universe. She'd just be hanging out on the stranger with no way of communicating or doing much of anything, really. Also, you'd have to assign a dedicated person to watch the picture of Solemnum, and if they ever blink, there's a good chance she becomes a skeleton. At the end of the day, it's probably kinder to leave her on the quantum moon. Ignorance is bliss. She technically doesn't even need saving, so we're with the Hearthians on the stranger, and Solemnum's safe. That leaves us with the last sentient species in Outerwilds, the Owlks. Their physical bodies perished hundreds of thousands of years ago, but their consciousness lives on in the simulation. Towards the beginning of the loop, the stranger's automated systems detect the approaching supernova and begin to fly away from the solar system. The strain this puts on the stranger leads to the dam collapsing 12 minutes into the loop, immediately killing the Owlks and the river lowlands. The Owlks in the Cinder Isles chamber die later when the tower falls, around 20 minutes into the loop. The ones in the Hidden Gorge are unaffected. My first idea was to try and repair the dam, but I'm not sure that's possible. We could do things in a different order, prioritize getting Slate to the stranger immediately and have them work on it, but like, how would that work? We just drop off Slate and go, hey, you see that giant dam over there? It's gonna collapse in 10 minutes. Make sure it doesn't do that. Given the limited time and resources, I just don't think it's possible. My second idea was to try and protect the chambers from the flood. In the river lowlands, the water extinguishes all the lamps, opening the secret door and pouring into the chamber below. But what if we use the light from our scout? We could keep the door from opening so that water doesn't go in and extinguish the artifacts. After the water level dies down, we can recall the scout and investigate. Well, that didn't work. I'm not sure if the water got in some other way, or if the devs just didn't anticipate someone trying this, but even if it did work, the Cinder Isles chamber falls into the river completely with a hole in the bottom. So I don't really think there'd be a way to keep it sealed or waterproofed. If we want to save them, we're gonna have to get a little more creative. Extinguishing the artifact's fire is what takes you out from the simulation, and we can't protect the room from the flood. But what if we moved the artifacts? Maybe we could move them to a safer campfire like the one in the Hidden Gorge. This is gonna start to get into some pretty heavy speculation. As we don't know exactly how Owlk simulation technology works, we do know that you have to be within a certain radius of the green campfire to enter the simulation. If you meditate till the next loop or die next to a fire with an artifact, you go into the simulation. But if you die or meditate with an artifact anywhere else in the stranger, you just die. So connection has to have some sort of limited range. There's also a slide reel depicting how the artifact connects with the campfire, and it shows a certain range someone has to be in for the artifact to connect to the campfire. So I did some experimenting. Meditating in the room brings you into the simulation. Standing in the doorway, you're beyond the prompt for dozing off, but meditating still brings you into the simulation. Doing it beyond the doorway just ends the loop, so that's the edge. You have to be within a certain range to light the fire and connect to the simulation. But what happens if your artifact is moved outside that range while you're connected? There's no way to test in game, but we can speculate. It's possible that moving the artifact does nothing. Maybe the distance only matters for the initial connection, and moving it outside it afterwards has no effect. If that's the case, we can move the river lowlands and Cinder Isles artifacts to the Hidden Gorge campfires without any issues. But what if it takes you out of the simulation? I believe your consciousness is likely downloaded into the artifact itself, which would explain how you're able to be in the simulation when your physical body's perished. Taking that into consideration, it's possible that moving the artifact would simply make you black out. If that's the case, we could similarly take the artifacts to the Hidden Gorge, where they'd be able to safely reconnect to a campfire. Only difference being that the inhabitants would black out during transit. It's also possible that moving the artifact outside the radius immediately boots them from the simulation and into their decayed physical bodies, killing them instantly. There's no way to know if distance would do nothing, make them black out till getting reconnected, or force them into their dead bodies, killing them. But going forward, I'll assume it's one of the first two. So we saved the Owlks, awesome. Now we need to remove the warp core from the Ash Twin project, otherwise the loop just restarts. We'll have Gabriel oversee the artifact moving operation while we go grab the warp core. It'd probably be a good idea to spend a loop flying Gabbro to the stranger before putting this whole plan into action, making sure they're familiar with the stranger's layout, how the simulation works, where to move the artifacts, etc. We'll be able to use all 21 Hearthians other than ourselves for the operation, so it should be easy to finish before the flood. It's also probably smart to spend a few loops on the stranger with Gabbro during the artifacts transportation just to make sure it all goes smoothly. As soon as we remove the warp core, we are locked in on that loop. No takebacks, so we need to be as careful as possible. There's also the issue of food if we're going to stay in the stranger long term. If we want to be really technical, being at a campfire seems to grant you an infinite supply of marshmallows, but I don't think we're counting that. From what I can tell, the Hearthian diet consists of marshmallows, sap wine, and fish. If we wanted, we could hypothetically bring a bunch of baby fish in a bucket and try to grow a fish colony on the stranger for a food source. They could also bring saplings for whatever trees are used for sap wine, assuming they could grow on the stranger. I'm no biologist, so it's hard to speculate. And even if I were a biologist, who knows if their bodies and animal species obey the same rules we do, at least when it comes to where trees can grow or how realistic setting up a fish colony would be. I don't know. In any case, it wouldn't be easy, but Hearthians are scavengers at heart, and I'm sure they could work something out. It is also, again, possible that none of my methods for saving the Owlks would be successful. If not, that gives us a new option, putting all the Hearthians in the simulation. There's only a small handful of unlit artifacts around the stranger, at least that I could find. But there's 11 artifacts in the River Lowlands chamber and 10 in the Cinder Isles. That's 21 artifacts total. So if we grab the one in the Ghost Matter cabin, we have just enough for our group of 22 Hearthians. We could take the now extinguished artifacts, dry them off, and then use them for ourselves in the Hidden Gorge chamber, spending the rest of eternity in the simulation. But even if we could save everyone, should we? I played through the game and the DLC, searching for a way to save everyone. And when the game didn't give me a happy ending, I made this video to pretty much make my own. But in doing so, I made the exact same mistake the Owlks did. I refused to let go. I mean, at the end of the day, how different are the lives of the other inhabitants compared to the prisoner? Sure, they can walk between a few locations, play games and socialize, but after hundreds of thousands of years, doesn't it get a little stale? All this time, and we can still see them grieving their homeworld. Like this guy, just going through their home's side reel over and over and over. The others are just as trapped as the prisoner, just in a bigger cage. And how different would our lives as Hearthians be on what's left of the stranger? There's a difference between preserving life and saving it. We can't save everyone, or anyone for that matter, not really. And this whole time I'd been making the same mistake the Owlks did by trying to. Look at the slide reel that started it all, that made them fly into grief and rage, burning the church, building the signal blocker, and the simulation. The eye of the universe flashes red. Everything turns to dust. And then we see an Owlk skull in frame. This is where they stopped, overcome by emotion. But had they kept watching, they would have seen something important. A flower growing from the remains. We see a painting of this in the prisoner's burnt down house. He knew what the others didn't, that every end is just a new beginning. By entering the eye, we meld our consciousness with it. By accessing our memories, it shows us the museum and our friends around the campfire. And while we perish as the one to observe the eye, we get to have an effect on the universe that comes after. After the credits roll, we get a glance at that universe. A group of bug-like scavenger creatures roasting marshmallows, some ruins off in the distance, and a taller creature holding a lamp. The Hearthians, Nomai, and Owlks all leave a mark on the universe yet to come. We can't save ourselves or our friends, but we can save life itself. And so together we all play one final melody into the quiet night. Death isn't easy to reckon with. To be made the only creature aware of our own inevitable demise is maybe the cruelest joke Mother Nature could have played. But no piece of media has helped me come to terms with the impermanence of life, or my place in the universe, the way Outerwilds has. I'd done everything there is to do in Outerwilds, gotten every achievement, except one. Beginner's luck, reached the eye of the universe in one loop. How beautiful that a game so heavily focused on impermanence makes you delete your own save as its last achievement. I'd been putting it off for a while. I didn't want Outerwilds to end, but while making this video, I finally did it. There is nothing left for me to do in Outerwilds. But Outerwilds doesn't have to end. It's not just some game I played and finished. The message is something I'll carry with me, always. The game's over, but its impact lives on. And whether I'm studying or stargazing or whatever, I can put on the gentle melody of Timber Hearth, and that magical feeling always comes back. Seriously, I've been going stargazing lately, and the Outerwilds OST, oh man, it's perfect for it. Just like the inevitable supernova, our fate is sealed. Death eventually comes for all of us, but that doesn't make our experiences any less meaningful. If we lived forever, would things really be so different? We'd still be subject to love and heartbreak, to joy and misery. And no one would really know what we're doing at the end of the day. The human condition would be ultimately unchanged. A piece of music eventually ends, so does a movie, a conversation, anything, and yet they hold value. Meaning is found in experience, not in infinity. For a brief period, we get to be matter that knows it's matter. We are the universe, and gazing out at the stars isn't so dissimilar to looking at your own reflection. What a beautiful gift. After we're gone, the ripples of change we put out into the universe remain. Every passing smile, every laugh with a friend left a mark. And even if we ourselves aren't there to experience it, every end is just a new beginning. It is good to have an end to journey toward, but it is the journey that matters in the end. My favorite author, Ursula K. Le Guin. Oh, also, you remember how I said you can't stop the supernova? Well, you kinda can. As we know, the Outerwilds loop lasts 22 minutes, except once. In a brand new save, the 22-minute countdown doesn't start until you link with the Nomai statue. There's no canon reason given for this. I think it's just so that you can explore the village and talk to NPCs without being vaporized by the sun. But we can take advantage of this. In the speedrunning community, there's something called the geyser skip. If you position yourself just right on the village's central geyser, you can shoot up to the ship without ever having to get the launch codes, and inadvertently avoid linking up with the Nomai statue. From here, you can explore the solar system. Since the 22-minute countdown never began, the sun will never explode. You and the other Hearthians will never die. Also, since the sun doesn't start to expand, the stranger never has to readjust. The domino effect that leads to the flood never takes place. The Owlks are fine. Everyone and everything is safe forever. I don't really count this, since the point of the video is talking about how to save everyone based on what we know about the solar system rather than just a concession to gameplay, but I mean, I thought it'd be fun to mention. Thanks for watching. Hope my yapping wasn't too boring or pretentious. I've never really made a video in this sort of format before. Next video is probably about Marvel Rivals, because I'm a masochist, so keep an eye out.